But today, I'm the greatest of all time. Thank you.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters. And we ain't got nothing to hide, we move forward like soldiers. You better wake up for the pay stub, or you'll pay up. Don't make love to the game, bruh, it's the game up. Change up, rearrange stuff to your greatness. Same us for the way up, play the game, bruh.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah.
You know I'm always honest, there ain't no way I'll never stop it.
I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top,
I'm always flirting with pain, she like to hurt me and maim. I'm always working to change, but she's still lurking the same. I keep on building a dynasty while the haters be trying me, but they hate from inside.
All right, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Unscripted here on the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. We got a very special show today. This is going to be our 2024, still got to get used to the new year, NFL Wildcard predictions. It is that time. We are in the postseason now. College football wrapped up, and now we are in the postseason for the National Football League, and we are here to give our thoughts, our predictions, who will be going home and who will be moving on in the NFL. As always, joining me to help out and to lend his expertise, the one, the only, Jay McLovin. What's up, Jay?
Logan, I'm shocked.
You're shocked?
Logan. I'm shocked.
Why is that? Why are you shocked?
It's too much, Logan. It's too much.
It is.
It's too much.
It is.
Logan, we have literally lost Belichick.
Yep.
We have lost the retirement of Saban. And then we saw the firing and moving up to advisory role of Pete Carroll. Logan, it's too much. It's just too much.
We have, three of the top head coaches really of all time throughout, NFL college ranks. You can mix and match those wherever you want them. Have now stepped away. We know Saban's retired, as you mentioned, which, granted, he is 72. It had to come one day. But you still just kind of never thought it was going to happen, right? You thought he was going to be on the sidelines forever. So sad to see him go. A lot of fans are glad to see him leave, but I think overall, when you look at the impact he had, and we'll go into this more in another episode, but just give our brief thoughts on it. Great, one of the greatest college football coaches of all time. Pete Carroll, Jay, he is not going to be coaching, but he's going to be an advisor with the Seahawks. He's one of the best coaches, just I would say, period, because he's had success in both ranks, in both college, of course, at USC, and then it translating really well in Seattle, where he was there for over 10 plus years, brought them their first ever Super Bowl, and is a tremendous coach. And then, the news that broke earlier this morning at the time we're filming this, Bill Belichick stepping away after 24 seasons, Jay, 24 years on the sidelines there in Foxborough. Not sure yet what he's going to do. We don't know if he's going to step away. He is up there in age also, or if he is going to potentially go to a new team. I would assume on a short-term deal. But that's the big question is, where does he go and who is going to take over for him? That's going to be some big questions. Like I said, we'll go more in-depth into it. Another episode. Go ahead.
Good question. It's a question and answer, really. It's a question for you. Because of your sports knowledge, I would do one trivia question this morning. One trivia question, if you don't mind.
No.
How many coaches in the NFL have won a Super Bowl and a national championship, and who are they?
Oh, I don't know how many. I know, obviously, I think it's got to be Pete Carroll, right?
That's one.
That's one. I don't know, man. I'll give you a number because names are slipping my mind, but I'll go 3.
You're correct on the number.
Okay. Who are the other 2 coaches then?
You'll be surprisingly enough to know that they're both Cowboys.
Jimmy?
That's 2.
Oh, and who's the other one? Help me out here, brother.
One right after him, Barry, his boy.
Barry Schweitzer, of course. Barry Schweitzer.
Yeah, 2 of the 3 coaches are Cowboys. Barry Schweitzer, Jimmy Johnson, and of course. Yeah, you're right, Dustin. It's 3. And of course, Pete Carroll rounds out.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, and I mean, I think, and just quick sidebar before we get into it, I think people forget just how good Barry Schweitzer was. I feel like he's kind of lost.
He was in the Jimmy Johnson shadow. Yeah,
right. I think that's but I think if you look at the body of work, and I think this would be a great idea for you if you just want to go into how good he was. And also look at our boy, Rob 2 Cents, a.k.a. Rob Scott, chiming in saying unscripted in the house. Rod, hope you're doing good, brother. I know you're doing your thing out there, and we always appreciate
not a more beautiful black man in the whole world than Rob Scott.
And with that being said, Jay, let's get into it. It's wild card season. It is time. Regular season's over. We got all the chumps out of here, and it is time for the wild card. First and foremost, Jay, we're going to start with our Saturday slate of games. We got 2 of them on deck. First one, 4:30 Eastern on NBC. We have the Cleveland Browns, led by Joe Flacco, taking on C.J. Stroud and the young upstart Houston Texans. Give your thoughts on this one. Who's going to win in the 5 and 4 seed matchup? Close ball game, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think it's going to be a close ball game. A couple of things really point themselves out to me. Number one, how good is DeMeco Ryans turning the franchise from nothing back into something, righting the ship and stabilizing the ship, and then also elevating the ship. And then, how good was he and company and Cesario, their general manager, to pick up C.J. Stroud? And how dumb, honestly, was Carolina to not take C.J. Stroud. But look at what Stroud has done. He was MVP, NFL MVP candidate, Rookie of the Year candidate leading up to his injury. He goes to the injury. He still keeps the Rookie of the Year, but slides down on maybe the NFL MVP, but then comes back right after injury, throws the first bomb, gets wins, no turnovers, back in the NFL MVP conversation, which I still think is going to Lamar Jackson. But you can't tell me that C.J. Stroud hasn't made a good case for that award. All that to say this, look, Tank Dell went down.
Yep.
Obviously, that was your guy, Logan. Then Noah Brown goes down. That leaves you with Nico Collins and the tight end and what's that dude's name? It's the same guy that came out of Dallas. That tight end, was it Schwartz or whatever that guy's name is? I can't remember. Schultz, thank you, Dalton Schultz. Which Dalton Schultz is really his security blanket. His first read is always going to be now Nico Collins. But he, no matter what, we didn't know any of these wide receivers until DeMeco got there and Stroud got there. And then all of a sudden, now we know who these guys are. We weren't even drafting them in fantasy football at the beginning. We were drafting them later in the rounds. And these are the same guys that were putting up incredibly crazy numbers, right? Mm-hmm. Now we know who they are. Now they're on the map. And this is all done through that great offensive and coaching scheme of Houston Texans, which is why I do think, even though, Cleveland Amari Cooper has come back off that heel injury and he's going to be fully playing, I don't want to discount what Cleveland is doing in terms of Myles Garrett and company on the defensive side. But Joe Flacco and Stefanski, they've really got that offense going. He's doing great in the game management. Ford has really stepped in place of not having Nick Chubb, who went down earlier this season. He stepped up. His game is elevated. This game could go, honestly, either way. But because it's in Houston, because I think Houston is riding that momentum, I'm going to go Houston, and it's going to be a close game. I'm not going to give a score, but I think it'll be a one-score game, a one-score differential in favor of Houston, Logan.
All right, so Rob Scott said he's taking the Browns, but he is so proud of the Texans. I mean, I think regardless, win, lose, or there's no draw, so win or lose, the Texans can, hang their hat on a very successful season, Jay. One of the few teams who have ever, had a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, and then that same season they head to the playoffs. So hats off to them, man. They've got it done. And then Dustin chiming in saying Cleveland has been my pick to come through the AFC for the past 6 weeks. Flacco is playing his best ball in years. Houston has C.J. Stroud, but postseason experience matters. His final score is 24-7 in favor of Cleveland. I think this is going to be, kind of one that people are kind of looking at, but I think they need to take a deeper dive at because you have a super experienced team in Cleveland and a young team in Houston. So it's always fun to see that dynamic play out. For me, I'm going to have to go with the hot hand, Jay. Don't get me wrong, I love what Cleveland's been doing. They've been a really good team. They're probably one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the wild card or in the playoffs. But I am going to have to go the slight edge to the Houston Texans. They're going to be at home. Those fans are going to be pumped up, man. And we get to see what C.J. Stroud's all about. And, we saw him do it in college in the postseason. Now we get to see him if he can come through in the NFL. So final scoring for me, I'll go tight one. Give me the Houston Texans 24-21 3-point ball game. Almost there with Dustin.
And one more thing about that. I never like a team that's coming into the postseason on a loss, whether you sat people out or not. I don't like that momentum builder. I don't like the fact that you sat guys out that are coming in dry and rust and haven't played in 2 weeks. I don't like that. Houston has got the momentum. Their guys have been relatively healthy. They're coming in on a high. They're playing. They haven't taken any time off. And that's why I think Houston takes it. I think that's really the X factor in that.
All right, well said. Let's move on to our next game. Miami Dolphins go to Arrowhead to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. 8 o'clock Eastern, starting this one on Peacock.
Yeah.
We have mentioned in this one that this is going to be a very, very frigid game. Freezing temperatures, if not below that. So definitely, if you're out there, stay warm. It always kills me whenever I see the linemen wearing just sleeveless shirts, thinking they're like, "Oh yeah, though I'm not cold." Come on, dude. I know you're freezing. So you don't gotta play. You don't gotta play smart. All right, Jay. Well, who's gonna win this one? Tyreek Hill, of course, and Tua and whatnot. Are they gonna get the win for Miami, or will the Chiefs kind of get back on track and move forward in the postseason like they've done many years before?
This is one of those kind of games, Logan, where you often say, look, the Kansas City Chiefs have won multiple Super Bowls. Yep. Miami is still in search of a Super Bowl since the 72 season. I really think people step their games up once they hit the playoffs. And this Kansas City Chiefs team, even though they've been kind of in the middle of the pack for the majority of the season, I don't discount what these guys can do in the postseason, and I surely don't want to disrespect Kelsey, even though he's having that crazy love affair with Taylor Swift, which I still think is his downfall. Because I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Anytime an athlete gets involved with a celebrity of that magnitude, it's a cancer on the team. It's been proven time and time again with several other people. Romo, to be exact, everything that the Kardashians touch just goes to crap. So keep that in mind. I do think Miami picks this game off, believe it or not. I think that Miami, especially now that Tyreek is going to want to get back. He said he had work to do last time they lost, unfortunately. But I think Tua is there 100%. Tyreek is there 100%. The only downside, the only thing that could keep Miami out of this game would be the fact that Chubb and Howard, and then the other guy, I forget his name, but there's like 3 main guys on their defense that aren't playing. That could be the X factor, but I like if Mostert is anywhere near healthy, that Mostert and Ashney running back combination versus Pacheco, I'm going to go the Miami route on this. I think Miami has the better receivers. I think they got the better run game. I think they got the better offense right now. I really do. The only downside that I'm questioning is how are they going to play in that cold weather? And then how is Miami's defense going to respond without having their top defensive guys? But ultimately, I still give it a close game. I think it's 1 to 2 possessions, and it could be a field goal and a touchdown. It could be a 10-point difference, Miami over KC.
All right, Dustin chimes in. He says KC and Miami is going to be the Ice Bowl 2.0. Only players on the Dolphins roster to play in the weather are Chubb, who Jay had mentioned he is out, and also Eli Apple, who everyone just seems to cook in the postseason. He says Chiefs roll 27-10 score in that one. I don't know what it is, Jay. I just haven't been feeling the Chiefs this year. They haven't looked as sharp. They have not been nearly that kind of killer team. When you looked at it in previous years and think, all right, they look set to go to the Super Bowl. They look great. And granted, they are a 3 seed. They are, they've had a good season, but I just haven't gotten that inkling from them that they are that next level team. Miami's a team who has been kind of, below radar. They came out the gates hot. They stumbled for a little bit, but they're also looking to kind of move forward to that next level, in the AFC East and in just kind of football. Instead of being that team that barely cracks the playoffs to that team who maybe goes pretty far. So I'll have to go with the Dolphins in the slight upset. I know the weather is going to be a factor. But I think we're going to see some heavy run game. And just going to be some quick passes. I don't expect any long bombs or nothing crazy. And I think that's where Tua is going to do some work. So give me the Dolphins in this one, Jay. I'll go 28-14, my final score.
Yeah.
All right. Next game, we're on to the Sunday slate now. We have the 1 o'clock game, Pittsburgh taking on Buffalo. And like I said, Pittsburgh comes into this game just limping. They don't have really much of anyone. We know that, I think Mason Rudolph is going to be the starter for this one. And a big factor, Jay, TJ Watt is not going to be playing as well. So how does that affect your score in that game between the Buffalo Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Yeah, I think that really is a huge thing for Pittsburgh, not having Watt on that defensive side. That really takes away a lot of the disruption that they were going to need to put upon Josh Allen. As you know, Josh Allen, especially if we look at the fantasy side of their life, has been one of the better quarterbacks in the league, throwing the ball, scoring the points, and this, that, better on his legs, his feet, scrambling around. And when you don't have to worry about a TJ Watt over there, that really does make your life a little bit easier. Buffalo, for the most part, is relatively healthy. They don't really have anybody out. Diggs is there. Cook is there. I would give the nod to Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh does have a little bit better on the coaching side. I think they have a little bit better on the rushing side. I think that Najee Harris and TJ Warren are just an amazing combination at the running game. So I think Pittsburgh has an edge on the rushing side of life. And I think that's going to be, honestly, if they are to win this game, it would have to go through that run game and clock management. Also having that Mason Rudolph to George Pickens old school reunion connection doesn't hurt you either. So if they can get that run, if Pittsburgh can get the run game going, if they can get that passing game going, that would certainly keep them in competitive nature to win the game, or at least make it competitive. Ultimately, though, the game is in Buffalo, and Buffalo is coming in with the full accoutrement of everybody. Josh Allen, you know how good that guy is, not only on his feet but in the air. You still have Stephon Diggs, Gabe, and Kincaid over there on the offensive side that are amazing at the receiving core. And they still have a pretty good defense over there with Ed Oliver and Von Miller and company. So I'm going to give the slight edge to Buffalo, especially as they are widening their momentum of coming off that Miami win. I'm going to give that slight edge to Buffalo in this one, and I think it'll be probably another 13-point spread, 13-point differential, but I think Buffalo takes it.
I think, Buffalo has been probably one of the hottest teams in football coming into the playoffs. They've just kind of been that's the thing, Jay. They started off the year struggling. I mean, we thought Buffalo might be going towards a downward trend. But here in recent weeks, man, they've really picked it up. And that's what a good team, that's what a good coach does. And I just think the injuries, Mason Rudolph, I mean, I'm not feeling Pittsburgh. If they had Watt, I'd feel a little better, but they don't. They definitely got to rely on that running game, and I just don't think they'll be able to do it. Final score in this one, give me the Buffalo Bills getting the big win. I'll go 34-17. I think that just Buffalo's going to have an easy day. All right, and just real quick here, Dustin said, breaking news, Jay, Quinn Ewers is coming back for his senior season, which means Mark Manning gets to wait on the bench for another year.
Yeah, I thought that would probably happen.
Yeah, well, it is now official. All right, and Jay, speaking of official, speaking of some good games, your game is up next. Dallas Cowboys, 4:30 start, taking on the Green Bay Packers at home. Talk about this one, man. Is this going to be a good game? Is this going to be close, or do you think your boys are going to take it?
Yeah, this game actually caused me to have a controversy at church last night.
Did it?
I was in the third row. It was about 2 or 3 minutes before the church service was about to start, and I heard this guy about 4 people down, same pew as me, 4 people down, talking about how the Packers were going to beat the Cowgirls. Many said Cowgirls. I had to stand up and said, sir, you're out of line. You need to get down the prayer circle for disrespecting America's team, God's favorite love affair. Please, sir, you're going to have to write. And, of course, Melanie's tagging me, pulling me down, telling me don't make it clean.
Don't embarrass me, Jay.
Oh, don't do that. But no, getting into this game for real, though, Dallas is playing incredibly well right now. They have had their struggles against some of the better teams, obviously San Francisco being one. But you got to look at Philadelphia. We beat them in Dallas. We would have beaten them at home. The only difference, the only reason why we didn't win is because Dak Prescott's foot was about 2 to 3 inches into the out of bounds. Otherwise, that touchdown would have counted, and we would have got the win there. So let that sink in for a minute. I will say this: the one team that kind of makes me a little nervous is that Detroit Lions team, which we'll talk about here in a minute, and who the Cowboys would face after Green Bay. Those two types of teams are really the tougher teams that we've had a little bit of difficulty with. But at the most end of it, Green Bay, as well as Jordan Love, has played. Actually, he's doing better than what I gave him credit for about a year and a half ago. With his 30 touchdowns and I think 9 interceptions. I mean, that's incredible for what he's done there, and he's done it with the same group of receivers. Actually, 2 experienced receivers less because Lazard and Cobb went over to the Jets. So he basically had 2 less experienced receivers, and he's done more with that receiving group than what Aaron Rodgers was able to do with it. Let that sink in for a minute. So, Aaron, the game's going to have to go to Aaron Jones, their running back. A.J. Dillon's not bad, but Jones is really the secret competitor over there. I'm going to give this to Dallas because I don't think that that Green Bay has enough on defense to stop our offense. And with the way that our cornerbacks are playing, especially the way Bland is playing, since he's leading the NFL with 9 interceptions, I'm going to go Dallas. And it's going to be I don't think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be 21-10 favor of Dallas.
All right, so Rob Scott says, please beat the Packers. Dustin says, for Mike McCarthy to save his legacy, he needs to win this game. Packers have won 4 straight at Jerry World, 9 of 10 against the Cowboys. However, Jordan Love isn't ready for that Dallas defense. His final score, Dallas 31-17. And also the Buffalo Bills absolutely clobbering the Steelers 37-7. I think Jerry Jones came out the other day, Jay, and said that Mike McCarthy ain't going nowhere. So win or lose, he's staying, it seems. But I think that overall, I think Dallas is just a better team. I think the Packers will be a good fight. I didn't expect the Packers to even kind of get close to the playoffs. Jordan Love had a shaky year, but I mean, we've seen over the last few weeks he's gotten it together, as young quarterbacks do. And so I didn't expect Green Bay to be in this position, but here they are nonetheless. And I just think Dallas is the better team overall. Final score of this one for me, my friend, 34-21 in favor of the Dallas Cowboys. You're welcome. All right. 2 more games left, my friend. 2 more games. This one has narrative driven all over it. Los Angeles Rams go to Detroit for the first time in God knows how long, take on the Lions, who are going to be just those fans, dude. Those are going to be some of the most hyped fans you'll see throughout the entire first round of the playoffs for sure. So, Jay, will the Lions win a playoff game for the first time in my life?
Yeah, number 1, it's in Detroit. Number 2, this game has a lot of storylines. The first storyline being Goff versus his old team and Stafford versus his old team. And I think Detroit wants to show Stafford just how good they've become without him. And I think Goff wants to show the Rams just how good he is without the Rams, either in the fact that he can beat them and go on to the Super Bowl would just be that little cherry on top of the ice cream cone. There's a lot to fight for the Rams and Detroit for those reasons I just mentioned. You look at the Rams, Keaton Williams, he's playing very well. You look at Detroit, I think they had the better run game between Montgomery and Gibbs. I really like Gibbs because he can get you the passes out of the backfoot. Is a very good receiving running back, which, let's be honest, Laporte's injury was pretty significant, Logan, with that knee injury and everything. So there's a good chance that Laporte doesn't even play in this game. Matter of fact, I would almost say that he's probably going to be ruled out this game. And if that's the case, then they're going to need Gibbs to step up and be that security blanket that the tight end once did for Laporte for Jared Goff. So I think Gibbs is going to be hugely important in this game, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see a lot of him in the backfield just because he can catch the ball really well. With that being said, though, the Rams do have Aaron Donaldson. Don't want to disrespect him on defense, but again, Detroit has a good defense of their own. For that reasons, and it being in Detroit, I think Detroit with St. Brown is really good. I think the Rams with Cooper Kupp now being healthy and with Nakua and what he's done on that end, don't look past them as well. But I think Detroit gets a slight edge here. I just think their momentum is on point, and how well they played against Dallas, I thought was really incredible. So I'm going to go with Detroit in this one. I think it'll be a close game, though, just because of how hard fought it's going to be. Yeah. So I'm going to go a 3-point differential, but Detroit takes the win.
All right, Dustin says this is the most interesting game of the weekend. Of course, the first ever playoff game at Ford Field would have Stafford in it, even if he is a member of the Rams. Ford Field will be ready for this. And he also says Stafford wants this just as Detroit does. 34-31 Lions win in overtime. Rob Scott says if Sam Laporta is out, then he's going with the Rams. I'm going to have to go with Detroit in this one, Jay. Look, man, I think they deserve a win. they deserve it. As much as they've went through in my whole life in 26 years, that team deserves a win. Give me Detroit in this one, 28-27. I want to be a good game, though. I want those fans to stay there all 4 quarters coming down to the wire. And the final game, Jay, of Wildcard Weekend, Monday night ball game, Philadelphia Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 8:15 on all major platforms. You can watch it on ESPN, ABC, so on and so forth. Who's getting this one? Will Philly roll, or will the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pull off an upset?
Normally this game would just be a complete and total waste of time. I would probably not even watch this game. Philadelphia on paper, Philadelphia at the beginning of the season and the way they played, you would think, oh, yeah, Tampa Bay, they'll crush them like a bug and move on to San Francisco, no big deal. We wouldn't even be talking about this game, truthfully. But the fact that Philadelphia has dropped 2 games to 2 sub-500 teams, and the fact that I still think there's a fracture in that locker room tells me that Philadelphia is not all the way there mentally and emotionally. I just don't think Philadelphia is there. Tampa barely squeaked by a Carolina team. What was it, 9-0? I do still think Philadelphia takes the win because I do think their talent will at least get them past Tampa. I don't know that they get past San Francisco. I think San Francisco ultimately will take the Eagles out of it. But I tell you, man, I'm watching. The only reason I'm watching this Philadelphia team is just to see if they can actually beat a sub-500 team. Honestly, that's the only reason I'm watching this game. Because, be honest with you, I don't think they. Number one, I don't think they can. I think their mental state is just so jacked up that I don't know that they can. Logan, honestly.
Mm-hmm. It's and before I get to my take here, Rob Scott going with the upset, I guess you could say. He's taking Tampa in this one. It's Baker time. And Dustin says Philly is done, cooked, and buried. They've been in a tailspin since November and have no answers. Bucks win 21-20.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are overlooking this game, Jay. And I mean, we talked to Philly sports guy the other day, and he's not taking this game lightly. He's not saying, oh, this should be a cakewalk. He's thinking it's going to be a solid game for 4 quarters.
Yeah.
Not just, it is the playoffs, obviously, so every team's going to be more amped up. But as you mentioned, man, it's not like the Buccaneers swept. They ran through the competition in the South. That wasn't any means by that. But Philly's just been, I don't know, man. They just have not looked right. I don't know. There's a lot of reasons to it. They just have not looked like the team that we thought they were going to be. They came out to that hot start. And, yeah, it's just been tough. Frankie, you got about a minute, my friend. What you want to say?
I don't want to say nothing, Logan.
Okay. I know he's just upset that Bill Belichick is no longer there. It is unfortunate. Well, Frankie, do you have any quick thoughts? Who's going to win these games?
Yeah, I'll go down the line real quick. First of all, I just want to say NFL is kind of scripted. Look at the AFC. Look at the AFC matchup. You got Deshaun Watson. I understand he's not with Cleveland right now, and they got Joe Flacco. But you got Deshaun Watson going to Houston, playing his former team. You got Tyreek Hill going back to Kansas City, playing his old team. And then you got Pittsburgh somehow, some way in there going up against Buffalo. That's just retarded.
All right. We got about 30 seconds.
All right. Philly's winning. Detroit's winning.
Yep.
Dallas winning. Houston winning. Miami winning. Buffalo winning.
All right. Well said. Dustin says NFL is expecting a record number of combined viewers this weekend. When you look at all of the storylines attached, it's easy to see why. Yes, it is. And guys, once again, great show today. If you like the show, give us a follow on social media, Facebook, X, TikTok, YouTube, and, of course, on Twitch. So you can check us out each and every single week. Rob Scott says real quick, Frankie apologizes for you losing Saban and Belichick. Yeah, Frankie's had a tough 24 hours. It's all right. He's got some coquito and some eggnog and a bunch of other items there to help that out. Also, guys, one more thing. Check us out on LinkedIn. We are wanting some applications for the network. So if you want to come join, go hit us up over there. And we'll get back with you as soon as we can. As always, Frankie the Yankee, as he is right now. Appreciate you coming in as always. Jay McLovin, as always, my number one guy helping me out. I've been your host, producer, Logan Landers. Enjoy the football weekend, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.